And Melissa Prax joins us this morning to talk more about the series. So first of all, I love how she was saying, I don't care what you think, I'm going to tell my story, and what you think is what you think. So what are we supposed to take from her story about the intersection of sex and disability?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Hallie really exudes self-love, and it was so fun to get to talk to her because she really knows her worth when she's going into dating situations, you know? But I think that if you were to talk to another woman with her same disability or anyone else in the disability community, their experience would probably be very different, you know? So for example, Hallie doesn't use dating apps, but maybe someone else in the community does, you know? And so I think the takeaway here is that the community isn't monolithic, that each person has very different experiences, not only in sex and love and dating, but just in everyday life.
So, I mean, this is just the start of a week's worth of series that you're bringing us. And just from Hallie's story alone, and we really hear her side of the story. Was that intentional, and are you using that going forward and the other stuff we're going to see this week?
Yeah, so before I even kind of dived into tackling this series, I talked to a lot of advocates and activists in the community and asked them, you know, what are some of the ruts that media falls into, and how can we kind of cover this community better? And I think with a lot of marginalized communities, when you're covering them, a lot of times media kind of fills in their own gaps and kind of doesn't allow a lot of nuances to be explored. They kind of just roll over the person's voice instead of letting the person describe, in this case, their disability in their own words, how that experience is, you know. And specifically in like sex, love, and dating, when you're looking at this, I don't think that people with disabilities are seen as the societal norm of what makes a good sexual partner or what makes a good romantic partner. And that's something that's like really important, I think, when you're constantly pushing people with disabilities outside of this norm. You know, I think that media and pop culture are slowly starting to explore this. Obviously, we're exploring this. There's the show Atypical on Netflix that's starting to, but even that title, right, Atypical, is showing that it's outside of the norm.
Right.
Yeah, and so really to try to break through those barriers and allow these women to have their own voice, and we're gonna, again, throughout the rest of the week, really get to have you know, get to hear from them.
Were you ever uncomfortable? Because I mean, these are not easy topics to unpack and kind of discuss. These are hard conversations. I guess, what did you learn in kind of finding the comfort to discuss it?
Well, and I think there's also a lot of laughter too.
Yeah.
Like, we were just laughing a lot because I would just straight up ask her sometimes, you know, I mean, you're asking basically a complete stranger about their sex life.
Totally.
And then I think throughout the week, you'll see some really uncomfortable topics. You know, sexual assault and abuse is tomorrow's topic, and that one, you know, personally as a woman and someone who reports on women's issues all the time, that just always is going to be a topic that really strikes me on a personal level. And I think, you know, but really just getting to see the strength of these women, the boldness of these women is just so awesome.
It's incredibly human.
It's really the human experience and the woman experience.
What is the biggest mistake we're making as people that are not in this community in terms of this conversation and this topic?
Specifically for sex, love, and dating?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think just going back to, like, there's this recognition that people with disabilities are either asexual, or that if they want sex, that's like a weird fetishization. Like, I think there's these very two extremes, instead of just recognizing that, again, they're human, that people are going to have desires, that they're going to want to engage in certain ways, and that at the end of the day, that they should have autonomy over their body and have choices over that experience, you know.
She said, I'm me, I'm just in a wheelchair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is solid work. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
So much.
We're airing Melissa's work all week on The Day Ahead. You can catch more of it right after this quick break.